Assalamualaikum and hi. Today we are going to present about presentation assignment for MGM 3313 Business Law. We are from Group 5. So here is the member of this group, which is start with I am Nurul Maira binti Muhammad Zulkarnain with metric number S70130, followed by Zulaikha Hasmidia binti Zahari with metric number S71699, and then Fatin Alia Izzati binti Sabri with metric number S71720. Next, Fatin Zaitun Akmal binti Mat Rohim with metric number S71198. And lastly, Nur Aliana Jiha binti Muhammad Nur Elias Madali with metric number S70112.
Okay, now let's move on to the next part, which is introduction case. In order to supply semiconductor components for Malaysia's electric vehicle industry, Ketapang Trading Co. and Electronic Distributor from Kuala Lumpur signed a 5-year supply agreement with Jembal Sdn Bhd, a Penang-based manufacturer of high-precision electronic components, for an estimated 150 million. A number of problems with the contract between Ketapang Trading Co. and Jembal Sdn Bhd gazed up on its legality and enforceability. In order to respond to this topic, we have determined that the case involved a number of concerns, such as fraud, consumer protection, remedies for violation of contract, free consent, coercion, and contract discharge. In it, we will look at the current concerns using the ILAC technique, which is issue, law application, and conclusion. Okay, now we go to the first issue, which is issue for free consent coercion. Issue: does the contract between Ketapang Trading Co. and Jembal Sdn Bhd remain valid if the CEO of Ketapang Trading Co. was coerced into signing the contract due to cheats and blackmail? Okay, we have two case law with the same issue. Baton v. Armstrong 1976. Armstrong threatened to kill Baton if he did not sign a contract. Baton signed and later sought to have the contract set aside for jurors. Second, How On vs. Lau Yu Long. The plaintiff were pressured to sign a contract under threat of serious commercial consequences, and they later claimed the contract was void due to jurors. Okay, for case law, we have two law. Section 40, free consent. Consent is said to be so caused when it would not have been given, but for the existence of such coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, or mistake. Second, Section 50, coercion is the committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by the penal code, or the unlawful detaining or threatening to detain any property to the prejudice of any person whatsoever with the intention of causing any person to enter into an agreement. Okay, now for application. The contract between Ketapang Trading Co. and Jembal Sdn Bhd is potentially voidable due to coercion, as the CEO of Ketapang was threatened with the exposure of embarrassing personal photos to force agreement continuation, which aligns with the legal definitions of coercion under Section 40 and 15. Procedures such as Baton versus Armstrong and Paul On versus Lau Yu Long support that contracts signed under threats or undue pressure lack genuine consent. However, since the final contract was signed by Ketapang's Regional Operations Director without Jembal's knowledge of the CEO's coercion, the situation is complex. While the CEO's consent was clearly compromised, the contract's enforceability may depend on whether the coercion influenced the company's decision as a whole, making the contract potentially voidable but not automatically invalid. In conclusion, the contract between Ketapang Trading Co. and Jember Sendian Berhad is not valid because it was formed under caution. Although the CEO, Datuk Sri Shadat, did not personally sign the contract due to threats of exposing his personal photos, the caution direct at him influenced the continuation of the agreement. This falls within the meaning of coercion under Section 50, and despite the contract being signed by the Regional Operations Director without Jemba's knowledge, the threat against the CEO taints the contract's validity. His position is supported by case law such as Patton v Armstrong and Paul On v Lau Yu Long, where contracts made under intimidation and coercion were deemed invalid.
I'm going to present my issue, which is issue for remedies for the breach of the contract. So starting with issue, which is whether Ketapang Trading Co. can recover the damage of a breach of contract from the failure of Jember Sdn Bhd to deliver 15,000 specialized microprocessors. So refer to law, which is section 74(1) of Contract Act 1950. When a contract is broken, the party suffering the breach is entitled to receive compensation for any loss or damage caused by the breach, provided it is not remote and indirect loss. Illustration support is under Section 74 Contract Act 1950, where A agrees to sell 50 ganta or saltpeter to B to be paid on delivery. A breaks the promise. B is entitled to compensation equal to the difference between the contract price and the market price of the saltpeter at the time it should have been delivered. Case law that supported this issue is Hedley versus Bezendale 1854. A mine owner Hedley sent a broken crankshaft for repair via Bezendale delivery service. The delivery was delayed, causing the mill to stop and resulting in lost profit. The court ruled that Hedley could not claim the lost profit because Bezendale was not informed that the mile depended entirely on the crankshaft. Therefore, the loss was not reasonable and forcible when the contract was made. Next is application, where, yes, Ketapang Trading Co. can recover the damage from Jembas Neighbourhood under Section 74(1) of the Contract Act 1950, which allow compensation for losses caused by a breach as long as the losses are not remote or indirect. This is supported by the illustration in Section 74 regarding compensation for goods. In this case, the 150 million contract involved supplying semiconductor component for Malaysia EV Revolution to 2030. Jember failed to deliver 50,000 microprocessor due to a factory fire causing 7.9 million ringgit in liquidated damage, 25 million ringgit in contract losses and reputational harm. This led to Ketapang compensation claim and a counterclaim by Jebal. The principle in Harley versus Bezender 1854 applies here. Ketapang must prove that Jebal knew the importance of the delivery to recover special or consequential losses. Next, in the conclusion. In conclusion, Ketapang Trading Co. can recover damage for Jember's neighborhood breach of contract section 74(1) of the Contract Act 1950 allow the innocent party to claim compensation for natural and forcible losses arising from a breach. The financial losses suffered by Ketapang, including liquidated damages and the loss of a major contract, were forcible and therefore recoverable. This is supported by Hadley v Bezerdel 1854, which requires that the losses be reasonably within the contemplation of both parties when the contract was made.
Okay, now we move to the next issue, which is fraud. So, issue in the case with the Jembas member had committed fraud by claiming that the semiconductor component meet the specific temperature standard. So, in the law, we just use two section only, which is section 17 and section 19 in Contract Act 1950. For the case law, also we use two cases from Derry versus Pig and Tan Chi Chiu versus Eastern Mining and Metalco. So, in application, yes, Ketapang Trading Co. has the right to make a claim as they were defrauded by Jumbal Sendirian Berhad. So in this case, we use Section 17 of the Contract Act 1950 intentionally or without proper verifications. So due to Jumbal Sendirian Berhad fraud, Tu Ketapang Trading Co. was entitled to consider the contract voidable under Section 19 of the Contract Act 1950. 1915. Then this principle aligned with the case of Dairy versus Pig 1889, which held the fraud arise when the false statement is made knowingly or recklessly without sufficient verifications. So what Jebal fulfilled the element of fraud, giving Ketapang the right to void the contract or seek damages. So, in conclusion of this issue of fraud is Jamal Sdn Bhd committed fraud against Ketapang Trading Co. under Section 17 of Contract Act 1950 by providing false technical information about their semiconductor component. Then the false information induce Ketapang to enter into the contract. So, meeting the requirements for the contract to be voidable under Sections 19 of Contract Act 1950. So, it is likely that the court will cancel the contract on the grounds of fraud and award the appropriate remedies to Ketapang.
Continue with my issue. My issue is consumer protection. My issue is, does the exclusion clause in the contract which attempt to waive statutory protection under the Consumer Protection Act 1999 remain valid and enforceable? For for my statute related with this issue is Section 24. The importation of any good or service or any class of good or service which do not comply with the provision of this part is prohibited. For Section 32(1), where goods are supplied to a consumer, they shall be implied to guarantee that the goods are of acceptable quality. For my case law for my issue consumer protection is Puncak Niaga and Matang Plastik. Puncak Niaga is about the buyer bought a new Mercedes Benz but the car keep breaking down even after many repair. For Matang Plastik is about the buyer of a used Lexus said that car was faulty and the seller gave false promise. Next, for application for my issue, the contract tried to remove buyer protection under the Consumer Protection Act 1999, but Section 24 says seller must follow the law and cannot avoid it. Jembal claimed that part could handle negative 14 Celsius to positive 125 Celsius, but they were only test up to negative 20 Celsius to positive 101 Celsius, and the tests were unreliable due to faulty equipment and budget issue. In the case, the court said a new car that keep breaking down was not of good quality, which support Katapang's complaint about the faulty part. The case showed that used goods are protected if there is strong proof. Katapang has strong evidence, such as document, email, engineer notes, showing the parts were not properly tested and did not match what was promised. Even though the contract had a clause to avoid Jembal responsibility, the law does allow this, so Katapang can claim for the damage they suffer. In the conclusion, the exclusion clause in the contract is not valid because it goes against the Consumer Protection Act 1999. Jembal failed to give products that match the promised quality and description. That's all.
So next, I will present about issue of discharge of contract. The first one, did the contract between Ketapang Trading Co. and Jembal Sdn Bhd be legally discharged due to frustration? Next, for the statute, the first one is Section 74, Contract Act 1950. If a person takes on a responsibility similar to a contract and fails to fulfill it, the injured party can claim compensation as though the person had made of real contract and failed to keep it. Next, section 57. When a contract becomes impossible or illegal to perform after it is made due to something beyond the promisor's control, the contract becomes void at the point. There was Taylor v. Caldwell and Krell v. Henry. So for the first one is Taylor v. Caldwell. A music hall rented for an event was destroyed by fire before use. The court held the contract was frustrated as performed.